going to talk about validation of non-formal learning in the context of modernizing higher education in Europe. At the JRC, we carried out the OpenEdu project on behalf of the GEAC, Directorate General Education and Culture, and we carried out a particular study called OpenCred, which has to do with understanding best ways to recognize certificates and credits obtained via non-formal learning. As part of the OpenEdu project, we've developed 10 dimensions for open education, and that's what we call the OpenEdu framework, which is published in one of our reports. And one of the 10 dimensions of this framework is recognition. So the OpenCred study is, let's say, is zooming into this dimension, recognition, and it was mostly a qualitative based study in which we carried out interviews and case studies with lecturers, teachers that were actually offering recording MOOCs, and learners, MOOC learners, and also employer bodies to try and understand how easy it is or not to recognize certificates from learners when they studied via non-formal education. Well, we understand that non-formal learning is very important. Certificates that are issued after MOOCs, open educational resources are very important and can help us, help learners to upskill, let's say, and perhaps replace them, have a better positioning in the job market, or just to gain further knowledge. But there is a challenge there. How can we recognize a certificate from a learner that is studied somewhere with an open course that we don't know much about? So, in this OpenCred study, we came up with the traffic light model, which is a model that shows us some aspects that we have to take into account when issuing a certificate, okay? So that it can make it easier in the future for these certificates to be recognized by a third institution or by an employer, for example. One of these aspects is the identity verification of the learner, which sometimes is made by digital and technologies at a distance, such as cameras, biometrics, but can also be done via face-to-face assessment. So someone does a MOOC at a distance and come to the university for the assessment. So identity verification and transparency on explaining how the identity of the learner was verified is really important, as well as the issuing of ECTS credits, the collaboration aspect. When a university collaborates with another university, it speeds up the recognition process because there is a kind of a fast-track route. So, for example, institution A recognizes the certificates issued by institution B or C because they belong to a certain system or they collaborate together. So one of the recommendations of the OpenCred report is transparency. We understand it's really important that universities or higher education institutions make it very clear to potential MOOC learners, for example, what they are going to find once they register themselves in the MOOC. So upfront, to tell them whether the MOOC is going to offer then ECTS credits or not, European Credit Transfer System, no, if it's going to offer any credits or not, how the learner is going to be assessed, whether they can have formal certificates issued by the university, how their identity is going to be verified. So for the learner, having information upfront is really important so that they can decide whether this course suits their needs, is suitable for them. On the other hand, it also helps other institutions if they want to recognize a non-formal certificate issued by institution B, C, or D, Just by looking at the front page, the cover page of the MOOC, for example, the introduction of the MOOC, they'll be able to assess the quality, they'll be able to assess the curriculum, they'll be able to assess whether the assessment methods used to the learner is actually in line with their policies. So having transparency in providing information and metadata when issuing badges or digital certificates is one of the recommendations of the Open Credit Report. I recommend having a look at this Open Credit Report if you're interested in understanding more the main mechanisms to facilitate recognition of learning, of non-formal learning, mostly when obtained via MOOCs. So the Open Credit Report is what I suggest for you.